If you drive a Ford, Chevy, or Ram truck, there are 7 engines across these 3 brands that have exposed owners to some of the most expensive, dangerous, and in one case, outright fraudulent failures in modern truck history. We are talking about engines that seize at highway speed with no warning, spark plugs that launch themselves out of the cylinder head, and one engine where the manufacturer got caught running illegal software to cheat emissions tests. But here's the part that matters most. Millions of trucks on the road right now still have these engines under the hood. And if you are shopping for a used truck, the odds of stumbling into one of these are higher than you might think. So let's count them down, starting with number 7 and working toward the single most dangerous truck engine you can buy today. Number 7. The Ford first-generation 3.5-liter EcoBoost. When Ford introduced the twin-turbo EcoBoost in the F-150, it was supposed to be the future of truck power. V6 fuel economy with V8 performance. And honestly, the concept was brilliant. The problem is that Ford was combining twin turbochargers with direct injection and variable valve timing for the very first time in a truck engine, and that combination created a carbon buildup nightmare. Direct injection sprays fuel straight into the combustion chamber instead of across the intake valves. That means the valves never get washed clean by fuel, and carbon deposits pile up over time. The result is rough idling, misfires, and lost power that gets worse with every mile. On top of that, first-generation EcoBoost trucks developed a reputation for timing chain stretch. When the chain stretches beyond tolerance, the engine can lose timing and suffer serious internal damage. Some owners reported chains failing before the truck even hit 100,000 miles, and a replacement runs $2,000 or more. The good news is that Ford largely sorted these issues out in the second generation. But if you are looking at a used F-150 from 2011 through 2016 with the 3.5 EcoBoost, ask hard questions about maintenance history. A seller who cannot produce service records is a seller you should walk away from. Number 6. The Ram 5.7-liter Hemi, specifically the 2011 and 2012 model years. The Hemi is one of the most recognized engine names in the truck world, and for most model years, it has earned that reputation fairly. But the 2011 and especially the 2012 Ram 1500 had a serious design problem that became known across the truck community as the Hemi tick. The issue comes down to how the engine lubricates its cam lifters and rollers. The 5.7 Hemi uses a single overhead camshaft design where the rotating crankshaft assembly is supposed to splash oil onto these critical components. At low revolutions per minute, and especially during extended idling, there is simply not enough oil reaching the lifters and rollers. Over time, the lifters wear, the cam lobes get chewed up, and you start hearing that distinctive ticking sound from inside the engine. Ignore it long enough, and you are looking at a full camshaft and lifter replacement that runs $6,000 or more. One retired truck owner on a Ram forum said he was nearly 70 years old, had maintained his truck religiously with synthetic oil changes, and was still staring at a repair bill he could not afford for a flaw baked into the engine's design. An engine builder who analyzed multiple Hemi failures pointed to the same conclusion. The engines that fail most often are the ones subjected to a lot of stop-and-go driving, where the revolutions per minute stay below 2,000. Police departments reportedly stopped using the Hemi-powered charger for exactly this reason. Too many engines destroyed by constant idling. If you are shopping a used Hemi truck, 2013 through 2014 and 2017 onward are generally safer bets. But avoid 2011 and 2012 like they owe you money. Number 5. The Ford 5.4-liter Triton 5.8 3-valve version. This engine powered the F-150 from roughly 2004 through 2008. And it is often called the worst engine Ford ever put in a truck. The problems start with the spark plugs. On the earlier two-valve version, the threads in the aluminum cylinder heads were too shallow. Spark plugs would literally blow out of the engine with no warning, leaving a damaged cylinder head that needed expensive repair or replacement. Ford eventually redesigned the heads with deeper threads, but the three-valve replacement brought a completely different nightmare. The three-valve Triton used a two-piece spark plug design where the outer shell could separate from the electrode during a routine removal. Broken pieces would fall into the combustion chamber and cause catastrophic damage. The problem was so widespread that Ford developed special extraction tools and approved out-of-warranty repairs for affected trucks. But spark plugs were only the beginning. Cam phaser failures created a horrible rattling noise on cold startup that owners describe as sounding like a bag of marbles inside the engine. The fuel pump driver module, an aluminum component mounted directly on the steel frame where it was exposed to road salt, water, and mud, would fail without warning and stall the engine at highway speed. Timing chain guides wore out prematurely because the plastic tensioner components could not handle the heat cycles. Ford built millions of trucks with this engine over a 13-year production run. They are everywhere on the used market, and they are temptingly cheap. Now you know why. Number 4. The GM 5.3-liter Vortec from 2007 through 2014. This was the bread-and-butter engine in the Chevy Silverado, Tahoe, Suburban, and GM Yukon for years. It had two massive problems that fed off each other in the worst possible way. The first was active fuel management, a fuel-saving system designed to shut down 4 of the 8 cylinders under light load. It sounds smart on paper, but the active fuel management system uses 16 specialized collapsible lifters. Those lifters are known to collapse when they should not. When a lifter collapses incorrectly, it bends the push rod above it and grinds down the cam lobe below it. That kind of damage cascades through the engine fast. The second problem was the positive crankcase ventilation system, which contributed to truly excessive oil consumption. Faulty piston rings allowed oil past the cylinder walls and into the combustion chamber where it fouled spark plugs and, in severe cases, caused complete engine failure. Owners reported burning through a quart of oil every 1 to 2,000 miles. On a truck that is supposed to go 5,000 miles between oil changes, that is a recipe for running dry without realizing it. Consumer Reports singled out the Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra as the trucks most likely to experience major engine problems, giving both a 1 out of 5 reliability score. GM eventually faced multiple lawsuits and paid roughly $150 million in settlements over these defects. If you are considering a Silverado or Sierra from this era, an aftermarket active fuel management disabler is practically a required purchase. Check the oil level obsessively between changes. If you are finding this helpful, hit subscribe. I break down the trucks, RVS, and engines worth buying and avoiding every single week. And stick around, because the top 3 on this list are significantly worse than anything we have covered so far. Number 3. The Ram 3.0-liter EcoDiesel, 2014 through 2019. This one is not just a bad engine. It is an engine built on a LIE. In January 2017, the EPA issued a notice of violation to Fiat Chrysler, alleging that Ram 1500 and Jeep Grand Cherokee vehicles with the 3.0-liter EcoDiesel were equipped with 8 undisclosed auxiliary emissions control devices. In plain English, the trucks were running hidden software that manipulated emissions tests. The vehicles were releasing illegally high levels of nitrogen oxide during normal driving, while being marketed to consumers as the eco-friendly diesel option. People paid up to $5,000 extra for eco-diesel technology, specifically because they believed they were getting a cleaner truck. Fiat Chrysler paid a $305 million penalty under the Clean Air Act and settled a class action lawsuit for an additional $330 million. Owners received roughly $3,000 each, plus a software reflash and an extended warranty. But the problems did not stop with emissions fraud. The EGR coolers in these trucks were susceptible to thermal fatigue. They would crack over time, leak coolant into the intake manifold, and in some cases cause the engine to catch fire while driving. A separate class action lawsuit over the EGR cooler defect covers trucks manufactured between June 2013 and October 2019. That settlement is still being finalized in 2026, with a final approval hearing scheduled for March. If you are looking at a used eco-diesel Ram, check whether the emissions software update was completed and ask specifically about EGR cooler health. Better yet, consider a different engine entirely. Number 2. The Ford 6.0-liter Power Stroke Diesel, 2003 through 2007. Among diesel truck enthusiasts, the 6.0 has a reputation that precedes it by a mile. Head gaskets fail because the factory head bolts cannot handle the clamping force needed under high cylinder pressures. The EGR cooler clogs with soot and can rupture, sending coolant into places coolant should never go and mixing it with engine oil. The fuel injection control module fails with depressing regularity. And here is the detail that really tells you everything about this engine's design. To replace the fuel injectors, a mechanic has to remove the entire truck cab from the frame. That is not a minor inconvenience. That is 8 to 10 hours of labor before the actual injector work even begins. The community around this engine has created an entire cottage industry called bulletproofing. That typically means replacing the factory head bolts with stronger aftermarket studs, upgrading the EGR system or deleting it entirely, reinforcing the oil cooler, and sometimes replacing the fuel injection control module preemptively. Owners routinely spend $3,000 to $5,000 on these upgrades just to make the engine acceptably reliable. It is an engine that Ford should have built correctly from the factory. If someone offers you a cheap 6.0 Power Stroke, ask yourself why it is cheap. The answer is almost always thousands of dollars in deferred maintenance waiting behind that low price tag. Number 1. The GM 6.2-liter V8, the L87, from 2021 to 2024. This is the most alarming engine on the entire list because it is not some relic from 20 years ago. These are recent model year trucks and SUVs that people are still making monthly payments on right now. In April 2025, GM issued a recall covering nearly 600,000 vehicles, including the Chevy Silverado 1500, Tahoe Suburban, GMC Sierra, Yukon, and Cadillac Escalade. The problem is manufacturing defects in the connecting rods and crankshafts. Sediment trapped in oil passages and parts machined outside of specification can cause these critical components to fail without any warning whatsoever. What does failure look like in the real world? Owners have reported engines seizing at highway speed, connecting rods punching clean through the engine block, complete and instant loss of power, power steering, and brake assist while doing 70 miles per hour on the interstate. One owner described losing propulsion on a dark country road and sliding into a culvert because he had no steering and no brakes. Another owner went through 3 replacement engines on the same truck, with the third engine lasting just 98 miles before locking up. GM acknowledged 12 crashes and 12 injuries tied to this defect before issuing the recall. Their fix involves switching to a thicker 0W40 oil, replacing the oil filter, and swapping the oil cap. For engines that do not pass inspection, they offer a full replacement. By late 2025, NHTSA opened a second federal investigation after receiving over 1,100 additional complaints from owners of vehicles not included in the original recall. The probe is examining whether the problem extends to earlier production years and whether the remedy from GM is actually adequate. The answer to that question could mean an expanded recall covering hundreds of thousands of additional trucks. If you own one of these vehicles, do not wait for a letter in the mail. Go to the NHTSA website and check your VIN number today. And if you are shopping for a used Silverado or Sierra with the 6.2-liter, understand that you could be looking at a $15,000 to $25,000 engine replacement that arrives with zero advance notice while you are merging onto the highway. So there they are. 7 engines across Ford, Chevy, and Ram that have cost truck owners billions of dollars collectively in repairs, lawsuits, and lost resale value. The used truck market is full of solid deals from all 3 brands, but it is also full of ticking time bombs wearing a fresh coat of wax. Before you sign anything on a used truck, pull the NHTSA records for that specific VIN. Check for open recalls. If the engine matches anything on this list, either walk away or negotiate like your wallet depends on it. If you want to know which truck engines actually hold up over 200,000 miles and beyond, I cover that too. Click the video on screen now.